Hey, Paul here, back at you with another one. This is by popular demand. I've had quite a few people ask me, will argue with me about Dallas McCarver's death cycle, saying that he was taking 10 grams plus of gear per day. I'm going to debunk that for you, show you why he wasn't. It's possible, anything's possible, but it didn't seem that he was taking what this death cycle was at the time he died. And I'll show you from the autopsy report. This was reportedly from Chad Nichols. This is a protocol that he had him on. I've seen Chad Nichols' protocols before, and they don't look like this. So I don't know where the fuck this came from. Probably just some bullshit that somebody made up. Before we dig into it, some housekeeping real quick. If you want to support me, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. I get a lot of people watching my videos, not that many people subscribing. If you don't know about YouTube, they do not allow you to monetize until you have a certain amount of subscribers. So I make nothing from this channel. I'm just doing it out of the kindness of my own heart. If you have questions, comments, you want to argue with me about the cause of Dallas McCarver's death, do so below in the comments section. If you want to get in contact with me, my contact information is in the description. I am on Instagram at Paul K. Barnett, and my email is bigp3rd@gmail.com. All right, so let's dig into this. This was Chad Nichols' death cycle. I'm going to run down this real quick. So supposedly he was doing 22 units a day of growth hormone, Serostim, and human trope. I don't know why you would mix the two different ones. They're the same fucking thing, but whatever. Humulin R mixed with Humalog, 20 to 25 units, 6 to 8 times per day. So I don't know why you would mix the two types of insulin together. That's beyond me as well. It would probably be one or the other. But it looked like he was taking that at each meal, reportedly. Lantus, 100 units of Lantus in the morning. That is a long-lasting basal insulin. Increlex IGF-1, 10 to 15 milligrams per training day. Anadrol, 100 milligrams 3 to 4 times a day, 3 to 400 milligrams per day. Holy fuck nuggets. EPO, 70 to 100 units a day. Halotestin, 10 milligrams 4 times a day for 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off. We got to be conservative with the Halo, folks. We can only do it 8 weeks at a time. Masteron, 100 milligrams a day. T3, 25 milligrams 3 times a day. MPP, 1,000 milligrams per week. Primobolan, a gram a week. Winstrol tabs, 100 milligrams per day. Novodex, 40 milligrams a day, or 1 milligrams of Arimidex every other day. Why are we so conservative with the Arimidex with all these doses? Long-acting tren, I assume they probably mean tren hex or tren enanthate, 1,000 milligrams per week. Tren ace, 1,400 milligrams per week. Test enanthate, 800 milligrams per week. Let's see here. Test suspension, 1,400 milligrams per week. I don't know why you would take test suspension unless you're using it as a pre-workout. Sustanon, 1,250 milligrams a week. And Boldenon, a.k.a. EQ Equipoise, 1,200 milligrams per week. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This makes no fucking sense whatsoever. I have a really hard time believing that this is what he was taking. I've seen Chad Nichols' protocols. I have had interactions with Chad a long time ago. I can't imagine him or Matt Jansen recommending that Dallas take anything like this. They would never do that. This is just totally unreal, fake, or something he made up himself. The logistics and the finances of this also make it pretty much impossible for him to have done this. And let's talk about that a little bit. So we're talking about roughly 13 grams of gear a month. I did the math on this. That is roughly $1,800 a month in just anabolics. So we're talking about over 20 grand a year in anabolics alone. Just anabolics. All right. Maybe. He would be shooting 11 cc's of gear per day. I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how anybody could shoot 11 cc's of gear per day. 540 milligrams of orals per day. You would shit your liver out in 2 weeks taking that many orals. You die. I mean, he did die, but GH. So the type of GH we're talking about, the price on that GH, if he took those types of pharmaceutical grade GH, we're talking about $7,500 per month or 90 grand a year worth of GH. No way. No way that dude had that kind of money to spend 90 grand a year on GH and 20 grand on anabolics. He also was taking Increlex IGF-1. That shit's damn near impossible to find, and it is incredibly, ridiculously expensive. Thousands of dollars. He would have had, if that was true about the Increlex, he might have been spending, with this purported cycle, close to 200 grand a year. What didn't happen? There was no fucking way. EPO, I don't know why a bodybuilder would ever take EPO, but who knows? Dudes do weird shit. So I just, the logistics of this cycle just don't make any fucking sense to me. None of it makes any sense. I don't know why any coach would recommend a cycle like this. Did he do high doses of shit? When we dig into his autopsy report, we'll see that he was pretty fucked up. The odds are that, yeah, he was taking pretty high doses, more than I would ever take, or more than I would recommend anybody take, more than what most pro bodybuilders would take. It's probably why he was so big at such a young age. Also why he fucking died at a young age. You can still get huge without taking those huge doses. But Dorian Yates, a gram and a half, 2 grams of gear at most during his career. And he wasn't any bigger than Dorian Yates was. Dorian Yates is also in his 60s and still alive. So there is that. I just don't think it's possible. So his autopsy report, this is what I found from the Office of the Medical Examiner. Noted at the time of the autopsy was an enlarged liver, kidneys, a hardened or sclerotic liver. So he was in some state of liver failure at that point. His lungs were heavy. He had a carcinoma on his thyroid. So he had thyroid cancer. He didn't even know it, although it wasn't a contributing factor to his death. His heart was enlarged as well. They said it weighed 3 times what the normal male heart did. It weighed almost an entire kilogram. Can you imagine a heart that big? And his lungs were almost twice the size of a normal person's lungs as well in weight. So his organs had grown, had enlarged, and just there wasn't any room left for anything to work in there. But maybe he was taking crazy doses of HGH. I don't know. I mean, I've heard legends of these guys getting shit for free. I don't know who the fuck's giving stuff, that much gear away for free. I doubt that happens, but maybe it does. Who the fuck knows? Anyway, also noted, but not listed as contributing factor was his HGH and insulin use. So in the end, he died from heart failure. He had a blocked coronary artery, and mostly blocked. I think it was like 97% blocked, something like that, and a massively enlarged heart. So his heart just stopped working. That's what he passed away. So if we look at the toxicology report, on first glance, I saw testosterone 550. I'm like, well, shit. Dude was probably just running TRT. That's wild. But then I looked at it. It was nanograms per milliliter, not deciliter. So that is 55,000 was his testosterone level, which is from what I understand, from what I found, is the upper limit of the test. That's why it was an even number. His testosterone levels were beyond what they measure on the test normally. Surprisingly though, and this is another thing that kind of debunks the whole theory that he was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it. He, on his toxicology report, he tested negative for every anabolic except for Trenbolone. Trenbolone was the only thing he tested positive for. That was the only testosterone and trenbolone. Those are the only two things that he tested positive for, which to me makes more sense. He was probably one of these idiots that runs tren year round, really dumb, and was running testosterone and tren at really high doses. And given the fact that his liver was it had sclerosis of the liver, that tells me that he was probably running high dose orals at some point or another. I mean, who knows? Maybe he was running fucking 400 milligrams of Anadrol. I've never heard anybody doing that. That's insane to me. But at the time of his death, it was only tren, it was only testosterone. That's the only thing that he had in his system. I could believe that a coach would advise that. I couldn't believe that the coach would advise all the other bullshit that was up there at the top. Now, clearly, he had abused himself, or he wouldn't have been in the state he was physically at the time of his death. My guess is that he wasn't running 12 grams of gear, like people suggested. Probably very high doses, maybe 5, 6, 7 grams. I don't know. To me, it seems like the outer limit of the safe range, where the curve starts to bend the other way, is somewhere between 2 and 3 grams. When you get north of 3 grams, the side effects outweigh the benefits at that point. Even it seems like even at 2 grams, you start having issues. 2.5, it starts causing problems. At least in my experience. Stupid people do stupid things. So who knows at the end of the day what he was really doing? But it's from his autopsy report and from this, from this laundry list of steroids he was reportedly on. That seems to be totally bunk. The autopsy does not align with that in any way whatsoever. It was tests and tren. I also have a theory why his levels were off the charts. I saw somebody arguing with me and saying that he would have had to have taken 12 grams of test a week to reach that testosterone level. Well, that's not necessarily true. If he had, let's say that he had taken a shot of tren before he died, ganked a vein, or tren and test mixed together, ganked a vein, that was in his vein, had tren cough, had some sort of pulmonary embolism or something, or just a cough, and it caused himself to have a cardiac event and died. That stuff would be in his bloodstream, not metabolized at that point, and potentially push his levels up super high. Or, I don't know, I'm by no means a toxicologist or a forensics guy, but I have to wonder too, if the body had sat for a while, even if he had a depot that had leaked into a vein and his body wasn't metabolizing the hormones, or if the body had been sitting for a while before they drew blood, and the blood was dehydrated at that point, if that wouldn't skew the results. This just doesn't seem right to me. Everybody I've talked to said it doesn't seem right. But clearly the dude was taking shit tons of gear, being irresponsible, or his organs wouldn't have been in the shape they were at 26 years old. I mean, that's just evident. I mean, the guy basically killed himself. So usually when you see somebody get as big as he did, as quick as he did, they're pushing the limits. He probably was just blasting year round, never took a break, didn't do anything to mitigate risk factors, and just kept pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding, and never took time to cruise or stay away from gear, would be my guess. I'm just speculating, but it is clear from the toxicology report, test and tren were the only thing in his system, not all this other bullshit. He was probably taking GH and insulin. I don't think they tested for that on top of it, but there were no other anabolics present in his system, no recreational drugs in his system at the time. I know he was buddies with Rich Piana, so I thought maybe at first they were they like to party together, but other than a little bit of THC, which every fucking bodybuilder smokes weed, there was nothing that didn't kill him. There was nothing. There was no cocaine, nothing, no heroin, no narcotics in his system, and he's at the time of death. Anyway, that's all I got, guys. Take care.